Project Libitina has been out since 2018, and everybody missed it. A slideshow and video essay by my nameless. I've been working on this for almost a year, and to clarify, the game that came out was not literally called Project Libitina. You'll have to watch closely through the entire video if you want to understand. If you haven't already, get comfortable and enjoy the video. So. Doki Doki Literature Club. A game developed by Dan Salvato, Doki Doki Literature Club is a game where you date cute anime girls and it all goes to hell after one of them takes her own life. You know the deal. Monica goes a bit crazy after realizing she's inside of game and isn't a romantic option, so she deletes all the other girls. And yeah. The DLC is technically a game inside of a game, developed by in-universe by Paula Miner. This was revealed in Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, the DLC, and it describes it as connecting to simulated universes to cope with their own simulated universe. Another plot important character is Laster, who joins the development team later on, but he isn't super relevant for now. There is a second game the development team connected to, Project Libitina, which uses some of the same data as DLC, to put it simple. I mean, the games are connected. There's tons and tons of hidden files giving us snippets of the plot of Project Libitina, and I'll be going over them in this video. Think of them as like sibling games. They share the same DNA. Just to clarify further, Laster, Paula Miner, and all other devs of DDLC are not real people. It's a game inside of a game. These are made up devs for DDLC. The real devs Dan Salvato. Jump scare warning, she's kinda creepy. Here's Libitina in her full beautifulness. And here's a cat if you need some time to, use pause if you want to stare at it. First, let's clear out a common misconception. Every character has a secret associated with their file. In Monica files, there's a message from a mysterious person talking about being a fucking hero and then giving a 2018 release date. It had been widespread that this was Monica talking to us, despite this being a very nonsensical claim to make in hindsight. I can 100% assure you that it's not Monica, Natsuki, or Sayori at the very least. Okay. Just as Natsuki is not Libitina, just because we find Libitina, the image, in her character files, this is not Monica's message just because we find it in Monica's character file. It's probably the character we play as, commonly dubbed main character by the community. I gave 100% credit to this Reddit post for bringing it up. I'll link their post in the description. Because I wouldn't have, if not for this post, I wouldn't really have had an interest in digging deeper into everything that happened. But like, if we made such a unanimous oversight, then maybe we made some other mistakes, And here's the message in the Monica's character file. Can you hear me? Who are you? You can pause if you want to read it. And this is the important part, though. See that now really clearly. Had that same kind of experience, some kind of deja vu. It's the third eye, right? Anyways, we totally wrong about this. But I think we might be able to do something. I think you might be able to go back, or however you want to put it, to go back and tell them what's going to happen. If they know ahead of time, then they should be able to avoid it. They should, if they remember their times with me in the other world, they should remember what I tell them. Remember. Yeah, I think it might be possible, but it's up to you. I'm sorry for always being, never mind. I know that's wrong. This is my story. It's time to be a fucking hero. Both of us. 2018. So, this is the main character. This is an image we got of them. The main character is the most likely candidate for the person talking with us. We should go over some basic details about them. They seem to be a pretty typical high school underachiever, and they have no canon name. The only items we know them to carry on their person are chocolates, which they enjoy snacking on. That's pretty sure the only thing we know. But I could be wrong, but anyways, appearance-wise, they have brown hair and more than likely red eyes. This is important. We can deduce this based off the logo for Doki Doki Literature Club. All the letters of the logo match 1-to-1 with the eye color of the girls, the only outlier being the red D and I. It's very safe to assume the red here represents the main character. Not sure if it's important, but it should be noted that the MC along with the Natsuki have 2 letters colored after them, though Natsuki is joined into 1. You can see it right here, the red D and I, all the other colors for the girls. More stuff about the main character. They're also most likely, in a sense, Laster, one of the in-universe devs of DDLC after he was transported into the game. To make it short, there was no main character to DDLC until one suddenly appeared, and at the same time, Eye of Laster started acting like Monica, which implies a body swap. Here's a quote, because she would have had to manufacture this character herself as well as forcing interaction between her and the user. And here, yeah, hang on, let me go back real quick. It's basically, yeah, Monica created the protagonist so someone could play the game. And Eye of Laster started acting different at the same time, so it can be assumed who knows. Anyways, the games are called VMs and are treated as connections rather than games. Here's a little snippet. Thank you to everyone who has worked so hard on the control simulation. I can't imagine how tedious it must have been to delicately hide Monica's elevated permissions from her without disturbing our connections to the VM. So yeah, it's not like they're developing a game, it's like they're connecting and then making a game out of it, if that makes sense. Continue on. And you say, thanks to Rose's work, we were able to acquire a few rudimentary locks. I have an idea on how to increase the connection stability to VM2 while maintaining weak hypervisor access to everyone on the inside and individual basic. Ironically, it has something to do with something they're building in their own VM. I'll go into more detail in a more formal report, but some of the log files indicate attempts of theirs to pull together the access potential of multiple individuals into a single parallel unit. It sounds ridiculous, but if they actually get somewhere with it, then we might have a solid entry point that doesn't heavily intrude upon the VM. Basically, the characters inside the game did something to make the connection easier, as in their actions affected the VM. It wasn't just the developers' actions that affected the connection, it was the characters inside the game. So both of them have kind of the power to, I mean, the devs have an easier one, but they both have the power to increase its ability. And here's a note, the original dev, Paula Miner, is revealed to be longtime friends with Eye of Laster in a secret file. This wouldn't be important as a later date. But yeah. Moving on, if you've been in the community for a while, you know that Portrait of Markov is a book in DLC that parallels Project Libitina. Information we get from the interactions relating to it are important for setting a few ground rules and for further confirming that characters in DLC have other selves in Project Libitina. To make it short, they basically share connected data between games, as I said before, meaning there's two of the same character in both universes. Yuri's the only one we know for sure, or at least the one we know most for sure, and she is more than likely Elizabeth Libitina. Though I've heard some say there's wiggle room that she could be her sister. Doesn't matter much. You'll see why later. Well, I guess it does matter, but it doesn't matter for this specific video. This is the plot Portrait of Markov described by Yuri. Basically, it's about this girl in high school who moves in with her long-lost sister, but as soon as she does so, her life gets really strange. She gets targeted by these people who escape from a human experiment prison, and while her life is in danger, she needs to desperately choose who to trust. No matter what she does, she ends up destroying most of her relationships, and her life starts to fall apart. And then, this is Act 2 Yuri, so when she says it again, a little more crazy. Basically, it's about this religious camp that was turned into a human experiment prison. People trapped there have this trait that turns them into killing machines that lust for blood. Let's continue on. In DDLC Plus, there's something called the Test VM, which basically lets us get a ton of little pieces of dialogue from Project Libitina. This is where we're getting more into the meat of things, by the way. Less going over common knowledge and getting into, Also, in the original DDLC, there are two main Libitina-related texts hidden away. I'm going to show you all of them. We'll really only be going over things I underline, but I'm sure you'll want to return to this stuff later. To keep things as focused as possible, I blacked out a few things from the test VM that are very disturbing and or not important to this specific video. I'll put a link in the description with the pastebin that contains everything. Trigger warning, as I said, I blacked out some of the sections that are gross, but there's still some relatively descriptive portions. Alright, here we go. Let's give you a sec, you can pause to read. I'm not going to read all of this. I'll read them, go over important stuff in a sec. Okay. Evil experiment stuff. Evil experiment stuff on people, and gross. And disassociation is a symptom. Conditioning. They're reproductive. They're basically breeding magical children with third eye potency, but they don't have actual third eyes. It's just like a way to say, yeah, okay. Well, we don't know specifics, but we know they don't have literal third eyes, but it's like a way to say, yeah. Yeah, male and infertile children can still be specialized, but my third eye me shows me two of them. I can't make sense of. Something something will ascend and bring salvation to all. May the third eye, two guardian angels, condemn thy blindness who seek a guiding light in their eternal prison. Okay, those are the important things. So I'm gonna move on now. Okay, gotcha. Right. All right. Here's the next one. Should seek purpose. Purpose ignites a will to live, a will to suffer for. Beyond my eyes of the public decades of favorable reputation. Something something are my children. The opportunity could be talking about specific children or just everyone as their children. There's a tether, ascend, something something absolute genius has made incredible contributions to Project Libitina despite having no third eye. Something something has become an increasingly scientific endeavor thanks to some new guy showed up and helped things get more scientific. May actually produce a tiny but detectable physical distortions in their area surrounding them. You might consider, so basically third eyes have little physical distortions where they are. Collective sessions, so like when everyone's together with their third eye, they can like increase the connection. So like the closer people are, the more power they have. The third eye is like their connection to the gods or the devs. So it's like they're trying to get connection to God. An angel in mortal skin. She will walk the path of ascension and we will follow. It's mostly talking about Libitina. You'll see why later. Observable changes in physical appearance, however small, already proves to be more than usual spiritual nonsense. And something insisted on upgrading the computer systems, going on about backups and protecting data. Nobody touches my personal data. I'm pretty sure this was basically saying someone was about to kill one of the staff members was planning on killing the main dude. So they're like, oh, you should back it up. You back everything up. And he's like, nobody touches my personal data. It doesn't matter. And he's like, oh, no, you really should before I stab you. And moving on. Special poem messages and website link. Irregular heartbeat, heart palpitations, arrhythmia. I search and search. Eye scanning. By the way, if you need like to take a break, you can always pause. I know I'm talking a little fast. Eye scanning everything I can find on their symptoms. What is this? Shortness of breath? Chest pain? Dizziness? No, this is all wrong. Alyssa's symptoms are nowhere near this simple. I've seen it twice now. The screams of pain, sickeningly pale skin, vomiting blood. There's no other explanation other than Rainer's information was a complete other lie. Don't know who that character is, by the way, never expanded upon. But there is one theory I have about it. I'm obviously at a later date. This can't all be a coincidence. It's not possible. I don't know how much of this Rainer is behind, but I do know this. There is something horribly wrong with this family, and I accepted the invitation to become part of it. I can hear Alyssa's screams through the walls now. I listen helplessly. Rainer said that he would be with her shortly. Is he in her room now? Why is she screaming even louder than before? And I think this, because Libitina is young here, and this most likely takes place, as Yuri said, when things are more religious-based instead of science. Because it went from religion to science. And this is a website with a bunch of information on Libitina. It's basically like a scientific, like a doctor sheet on like a patient, like the name, date of birth, sex, age, height, weight, where they are located, room. Significance level is the important part. It's 100, and something Libitina. 100 is the most significant you could be. And yeah, all personnel bill forbidding. Basically, what happened is it's assumed to be Rainier, but Rainier assumedly got a soft spot for Libitina and then got terminated, and Libitina also got really upset. And this was when she was like 3. Yeah, it's X'd out just like with these X's, but it assumed to be Rainier, but maybe not. It's not clear. If it's not clear right now, again, significance level, it's a Libitina, the angel, because remember before it was she will walk the path of ascension. She is the angel, and she's the main character portrait of Markov, unless that's a sister, who is Yuri, the same person. And we're almost to the reveal. Hang tight. I know it's been a little messy, but we're getting there. Character in the book described by Yuri and MC. Hey Yuri, this might be a silly thought, but the main character kind of reminds me of you a little bit. You think so? How does she? Well, I guess she's a lot more blunt in a lot of ways, but she also second guesses all of the things that she says and does. Like she's afraid she'll do something wrong. It's not like you can see into your head or anything, but they're kind of reminiscent of some of your mannerisms. I see. Very important here. Why is it important? The kind of some of your mannerisms. Notice how the MC is basically saying that these characters aren't one-to-one, but they share a lot of common aspects. It's setting the ground rules for comparing characters. Don't worry though, figuring out what game Project Libitina is doesn't even need you to really compare characters, because one of the special poems might as well outright tell us. Once you realize, a lot of unusual details make sense in hindsight. Alright. Now, no more waiting. Let's look at this very, very interesting poem. Here we go. A dream. I was wandering in an abandoned warehouse at night. I was lost, looking for an exit. I just wanted to go home. I came upon a huge empty room, its ceilings and walls beyond the deep blackness. My steps were quick in order to hurry to the other side, or to a wall, or to anything. Suddenly, the ground was no longer beneath my feet. I stepped into a hole of indeterminate width. I fell for a good 5 seconds before crashing into warm water. Hello, that's my cat. Figuring out which way was up, I surfaced myself. The air was humid, and the sounds of splashing reverberated endlessly. God. My vision was completely swallowed by the dark. With one hand, I could feel the damp metal wall of the container. My lungs were already getting tired. Don't understand yet? It's okay. This should help make things clear. Ready? Here we go. I came upon a huge empty room, its ceilings and wall beyond the deep blackness. I'll just skip forward a little bit. My steps were quick in order to hurry to the other side, or to a wall, or anything. Huge empty room, ceiling walls beyond the deep blackness. My steps were quick in order to hurry to the other side, or to a wall, or to anything. And suddenly, the ground was no longer beneath my feet. I fell for a good 5 seconds. And then the poem goes on to be like, figuring out which way was up, I surfaced myself. The air was humid, and the sounds of my splashing reverberated endlessly. My vision was completely swallowed by the dark. With one hand, I could feel the damp metal wall of the container. I want to say that the song that plays right here, it's maybe hard to hear, but it's called Ocean.ogg, which connects to the whole falling into water and surfacing yourself in the poem. So, whoops. Alright, okay. Deltarune X DDLC, oh fuck. Doki Doki Literature Club X Deltarune is real. Like, it's so real. It's so real. I don't understand why, how, who, where, why, who, head, blah, blah, blah. It's real. Yeah. Hey. So, Deltarune Chapter 1 came out in 2018. We were wrong about the fact that the game we assumed was going to be Project Libitina never came out. It was always there. I kind of doubt Project Libitina will ever come out. Personally, I think it was just meant to show, like, more disturbing aspects. The more disturbing aspects or horrific aspects of Deltarune's plot that will only be implied, hinted at, due to their disturbing contents being too dark for Deltarune's story, but who knows. Alyssa Libitina herself and everything that happened in Project Libitina most likely have very clear parallels to Deltarune. I have a gut feeling most of them come from the bunker. Who is Alyssa Libitina? Alyssa. Who do we know that's the implied super important angel, has a long lost sister, as in the story, and seems to be the main focus of the plot? Her third eye draws me closer, Ninja Immortal Skin. If you're a Deltarune fan, you probably already put it together, so as it's not exactly made subtle. Noel Holiday is most definitely supposed to be Alyssa Libitina. And hey, the new Deltarune newsletter came out. Let's see what's in it. When it snows, me and my sister and everyone have a contest to make the biggest snow angel of all. We lie on the ground and spread out our arms. We wave them until we get into a shape just like this. I'm the smallest, even smaller than Chris, but I don't lose because after we stand up to look, Des always tells me, "Hey look, Ellie, yours is more hidden underneath," and pushes away all this snow I couldn't reach, so I have the biggest wings of all. I wish it could snow. Oh, that's Des calling Ellie Alyssa. Some other things. Yuri and Noelle share a lot of common traits, such as having a love for horror, and the word Yuri is used for the Japanese lesbian genre. Noelle may like girls a little bit, if you didn't know. Hint hint, she really likes girls. I do want to note the possibility that Yuri is December Holiday, while Noelle is still Libitina, given the ages in the book, and how, as I stated before, some people have argued Yuri is the sister and not Alyssa. Anyways, remember, not every personality trait is one-to-one, so either way, not everything about them will fit. Sorry, had to take a drink of water. Noelle and Libitina are not the only characters we connect together. Character from DDLC has some strikingly similar features to Kara/Chris. Red eyes and chocolate are pretty specific associations or details, though I think based off how both of them act, it can be deduced that neither are literally DDLC MC, like they wouldn't remember. Though I think character is 100% hiding somewhere in Deltarune. Whether they're the person possessing Chris at night, yes, this is their entity, always has been. I'll probably go over that some other time. Or they're somewhere else. They're somewhere. Or they are Chris and they don't remember, given the don't forget motif. Perhaps the reason Chris goes to the piano and seemingly remembers some things because the last thing the character would have heard is DLC Monica playing pianos. I don't know. Just note the strong association to Kara/Chris. The very important note, my friend pointed out while reading through this, the text in Monica's file, the first thing we read over back at the start of the video, matches well with how Yuri writes. And Yuri is the one we actually feed the chocolates to, and we know Yuri is the one to like knives. The reason I personally assume it's the main character is because, as far as I'm aware, Dan Savato made a post saying the only one he had future plans for DDLC Plus at least, was the main character. Though I think I could be misremembering, so, who knows. That's why I didn't really think of Yuri as an option at first. It could easily be both of them, honestly. Writer shenanigans. But no. And another common motif seen in the games, heart motifs everywhere. Everywhere. And for those who think Chris may be the patient soul, I think the blue heart in the logo could also add to that. That's just, that's not fits. Blah, blah. How many sides? Oh, fuck, fuck's sake. This is my first video. Stay with me, okay? Another note. Character is most likely still awake during the final act of DLC, where it's just Monica talking to us, even though they can't speak due to the broken script. This is important because they hear Monica tell them, or us, that she doesn't even know if you're a boy or girl. Given that character would have heard this, I wouldn't let pronouns get in the way of things too much. Character has every reason to not want to use them in the future, especially if they know there were multiple characters in multiple worlds with possibly varying genders, because we know in the text that they start remembering stuff. Anyways, moving on. It's time for the fun part. Let's go over characters I think are similar. It's going to get more colorful from here, I promise. Natsuki, in my opinion, Natsuki and Suzy are similar. They don't have super similar personalities, though both are generally brash. Their main connectors are their very specific traits of both being malnourished and having implied bad home lives. Most would agree that Monica is very similar to Flowey, so she could fit with Rousehair as real easily. Though her connection to the iconic ribbon has me thinking she could be Des, if Des is related to the Skies River Blue girl. If anyone could be Des, it's either her or Yuri. Sayori, not too sure, but there's some similarities you'll see. I wouldn't trouble yourself with theorizing yourself in circles about who is who when it comes down to super specific details, given though that they can vary. Anywho, here are some things from various sources that further support certain comparisons. This just came out like, it came out at the perfect time, honestly. It's some merch. Seems unassuming at first, but first off, Yuri, if you look at the sun in the position of her wings, it kind of looks like the Delta Rune. Hers is the weakest link. That's really all there's for her. And also her being like Cthulhu. Is that Cthulhu? I don't know. Is this music too upbeat? Who knows? And here's Susie / Natsuki. And oh my god. Susie Zilla. There's so much here. She talks about Susie Zilla with Noelle a bunch. She likes what Susie Zilla is on TV. She talks about being Susie Zilla. And then Natsuki, for her monster she's representing, is coincidentally Godzilla. And look at their designs. Look at how absolutely similar they look. They have the same eye color. They have very similar like accents. It's like extremely strange, okay? Even this looks like similar to the chapter 1 area of rocks. But yeah, Susie Zilla, very important. She's probably the easiest to identify here. And then we have Sayori. There's not as much comparing other than this merch, there isn't a lot other than I guess their general personalities. They're both very upbeat people, but Papyrus and Sayori, both Sayori says, "I believe in you," which is the exact same thing Papyrus says when he gets his head chopped off, and Sayori in the merch is the headless horseman. So it's like, that's two very specific things that line up, especially considering this too. It's just very suspicious. Also, I should make a quick note, DLC merch is valid for lore, unlike Undertale and Deltarune merch. Keep this in mind when looking around. Toby Fox has specifically said that it's not canon. His merch is not canon. And for Monica, not a lot of physically other than the red-green eyes, but the personalities are more than enough to go off alone. Although Flowey is Undertale, not Deltarune, which is an important difference here, by the way. Do remember the angels in Undertale are completely different from Deltarune. Azrael / Kara are not Noelle / Chris, despite them both being the angels of their respective games. So we can't like... Undertale can be used for some stuff, but we have to be careful. And I said angels because I think, yes, Noelle is the angel, but remember, my third eye shows me two of them I can't make sense of. Two angels. This would also align with like the Deltarune symbol itself having two wings, and in Queen's Mansion there's also something that represents it, so it's actually, people have assumed that every single object here is a different person. Oops, this is not the right way. Okay. Anyways, two angels can't break the barrier without Azrael, and his final form is an angel, even though you, Frisk, in Undertale, are the angel from the surface world, according to the prophecy. Two guardian angels, condemned to blindness, who seek a guiding light in their eternal prison. Only eyes blinded by darkness can see the way. And let's not forget there's a theme of 3 eyes in Deltarune. 3 eyes blinded by darkness. I mean, that's already a huge other connection. I just forgot to put the Titans here. Also, I think I'll follow up this in another video, but I think there may be 2 Monicas in Deltarune. Monica's parallel, as well as literal Monica from DLC. One who escaped with Eye of Laster. Remember, body swap. Got into his brain body. Because there's multiple versions of DLC, they're all testing at the same time. And yeah, Laster is a very specific name in hindsight. Laster, Gaster, Gaster, Laster, Laster, Gaster. Anywho, Rousey works for Monica Vibe, and vibe-wise and parallel to Flowey, but there's also something else that makes me question Monica's role in the story. I think I've heard that story somewhere before. The one about the girl stuck inside the video game, wearing an easily identifiable risen, the girl who falls in love with the person playing the game through their actions as a protagonist. This is from Skies for a Blue music video. This is from the Skies for a Blue music video, those who aren't brain rotted, which has been heavily theorized to have some significance to Deltarune. And you can also see here, this is some DLC merch, very similar, outlooks. And wait, hang on a minute. What's that? That right there. Zoom in a little more. More. Look here. Look here. Oops. Help me. I have been squished. More. Whoop. 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 Look at the head shapes. And to make things easier. Now look at it. I know it's a little hard. It's very hard to see because of image stuff. But the head shapes are the same. Okay, for Chris, it's specifically like almost exact same. It even has the little like dip here. It's a little easier to see here. But they have like the dip here, and the hair goes down. Noelle has the same kind of parted hair, and the one for Susie looks a little weird, but the point is it's a head that's oval, horizontal. Let's get the music back on. But hey, I'd say the main takeaway here is that Noelle Holiday is directly tied to Alyssa Libitina. Other details are good additions, but I feel like Noelle's connections to Alyssa are the strongest connections here. Well, that and the poem that's more or less a one-to-one description of Chris and Susie falling into dark world, that was helpful. And also, I want to make it clear, do not go and ask the developers about this stuff discussed in this video because they will not respond to you. All it does is needlessly waste time and energy for both parties. Anyways, next up, I'm going to quickly go through a few things, but certain thoughts people may be having at ease. We'll be starting with plans and how they flow, and then continue on to a few supporting meta details. So plans. When Deltarune Chapter 1 first came out, Toby Fox himself was unsure if he was even going to finish the other chapters. And for Dan Salvato, he never expected DLC to become popular, and at release didn't seem to have any future plans for any of the girls besides the main character. Yet in DLC Plus, it's heavily implied Monica's escape into Ivlaster's mind. More importantly, it heavily expanded on the plot in such a way that was clearly building up to something more instead of trying to tie up loose ends. I say this to emphasize something very important. Looking for random outdated developer comments to disprove certain speculative aspects of a theory is usually not a good way to create a strong rebuttal. Developer comments are good for supporting evidence and added details, but in general you should be very careful about using them. Especially look at the dates of things, that's important. And here's a cat. Okay, continuing on. I don't think it's impossible that DLC just happened to be similar to Deltarune and Toby Fox picked it up as a crossover after it got popular, which is why there's so many more direct connections in DLC Plus. There is some meta details here that could support it being a longer endeavor. First off, Dan Salvato and Toby Fox actually grew up quite close to one another. Don't quote me on this. More importantly, both grew up liking Smash Bros, a big crossover game, which is also referenced in Deltarune quite a lot, despite not being referenced at all in Undertale, as for trying to tell us something. And both are well known for being secretive, so it's not like it'd be obvious, you know. Next video will be a fresh but quick video on Kara from Undertale. The video after that, I'll be uncovering the mysteries of Undertale's ball game. I'm turning the music off for now. You can just hear my wonderful voice. Oops. Which includes ties to DLC Plus. You won't want to miss it if you like this video. Trust me, the rabbit hole goes deeper and deeper with this whole theory. It doesn't stop here. Here's a quick teaser for the Undertale fans here. The Frisk is ball game joke is unironically real. And if you had a hard time believing this video, then I don't think you'll have a hard time believing that video because it was not too difficult to find, I would say. Anyways, keep in mind there's a lot and I'm only one person, so the scope of what I have to cover going on from here is super overwhelming. So please stay patient. Hopefully your brain is still somewhat functioning after all of this. Look at Susie. Haha. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe down below if you like to eat rocks. Or if you'd like to keep up with my videos. No pressure. It is my first video after all. So it's fun. In due time, I hope I can steadily increase the production quality of my content more to your liking. Trust me when I say I've already gotten a lot better at making slides, but I just needed to get this out. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I can't wait to hear from you guys, and I hope to see you. I hope you all sleep well tonight. Goodbye. And here's some credits. BG, Chuck Freak, editor credits, Craze B, music credits, Dan Salvato, and Messin with Ya, the one you just heard. jazzy one made by Toadie on YouTube. I really like Toadie's music. You should definitely go subscribe to them. Link will be in the description. That's all. Goodbye.